From Buffalo Wild Wings in Grand Forks, welcome to Benchwarmers. Today's featured guests are UND's head football coach, Bubba Schweigert, Midco Sports Network's Greg Ankers, hockey beat writer for the Grand Forks Herald, Brad Schlossman, and our host, Midco Sports Network's Alex Heinert.
Welcome to Benchwarmers here in Grand Forks, coming to you from Buffalo Wild Wings on Columbia Avenue. Another great panel for the show today. Going to be talking a lot of national stuff. Jordan Spieth, a great victory at the Open Championship this past weekend. Some NBA stuff as well. But first, when you've got the reigning Big Sky Coach of the Year, Bubba Schweigert, in your panel, you're going to talk some football. And UND, of course, coming off a conference championship winning season. Picked to do so again this year, just a week ago, by the media and the coaches. Another season with some big expectations. What does a ranking like that mean to you into this program coming into the season, Bubba?
Well, one thing we got to be able to do is handle it as a football program and a team, and we talk to our guys about it. We don't hold back. We address it with our team. Hey, nothing has changed inside the program. The expectations have always been the same as far as do your job to the best of your ability. Now, outside the walls, the expectations have changed a great deal. So it's what we wanted. We wanted to bring great attention to our program because we want to fill the Alaris Center this fall.
Yeah, this was a team, again, that was a 3-win program before you came in 2013. You've improved that by 2 wins every season. You guys have been around the program for a long time, both UND guys. What do you think has been the biggest reason for this rise the last couple of seasons?
I think it starts with the guy sitting right to your right. I mean, the culture changed from day one. The hashtag day by day has not gone away from year one of coming in. And I think, building it up the way that Bubba and his staff has, I think it's happened quicker certainly than I thought it was going to. And to look at where this team was, we talk about the preseason rankings, which of course don't mean anything. I understand a team that was picked 9th just 2 years ago to now being picked number 1, you're starting to see that respect from the league. And it has happened in a really short amount of time, but it starts and stops with the guy right there, Bubba Schweigert.
Well, I think the biggest difference I've noticed is on the defensive side of the ball. I think for a few years they tried to get into being a team that puts up 50, 60 points a game, and that's not really the identity of the program when it was successful. I think they went back to playing defense, and we got a defensive coordinator here, so probably not a coincidence that you like to play a little defense too. Aggressive defense too.
Yeah, I think it starts, we emphasize defense, and Coach Schmidt does a great job coordinating for us and the rest of the defensive staff, but also playing into it is the style of offense that we play. We want to control the football and run it and play action pass, and then stopping the run's been really key for us so we can get after the quarterback and create turnovers. And if we can replicate what we did a year ago defensively and create those turnovers, with 20 interceptions, and that's difficult to do, but that would be the plan going into the season.
Yeah, it seems like the defensive staff likes to play an aggressive style, not only with blitzes, but the defense has scored plenty of touchdowns the past few years for you guys too.
Well, sure is, and it's an exciting way to play. We want to be aggressive and bring pressure, and it's not always all-out blitz, but we take calculated risks, and we think it's a fun way to play, and it sure helps our team by creating the turnovers. And then if you can score on defense, you're most likely going to win a football game, and that's always the goal each and every week for our defense, is to find a way to score.
Well, offensively too, what a wrinkle that UND provides, certainly within the conference, when teams are built and more teams are becoming the throw it around, spread you out type of offense. All of a sudden, if you've played those teams 3 or 4 weeks out of the year, and now you've got a ground and pound, a team that wants to establish the run first, that presents a lot of challenges for teams that defensively they don't scheme for it, and quite honestly, I don't think they're equipped to do it because they're built to stop the pass. So I think that provides a unique advantage for UND as well, that they've built it out to establish that run first, control the clock, and then shut you down on the defensive end. And Coach, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that you created that type of a team just because the Big Sky does do it so differently. I think if you had gotten into the Missouri Valley first, this is the type of team you want to have regardless of what your competition is doing, right?
Yeah, I think when we got together that first January, we felt that this is the type of team we could build and recruit to from the Midwest. You know, we have a lot of offensive linemen that are big and physical in the Midwest, and we felt we could be different by recruiting top running backs. In some areas and some programs, the running back isn't as important a position as it is for us. And then defensively, we wanted to become more athletic. We're just believers that, you know, if we can get longer and more athletic, we can play better defense. And that's whether we're up front or the linebackers are in the secondary. That rangy athlete is what we're looking for on the defensive side.
UND #1 in scoring defense in the Big Sky this past year, #1 in rush defense for the 3rd straight season, and you expect that group to be very good again. One of the key guys from that core, though, not going to be able to play this season because of injury, Deion Harris, suffering a torn Achilles just a week ago. What is his loss? And again, obviously a guy that was an All-American and an All-Conference pick. What does his loss mean to this defense? How do you guys rally around that?
Well, once again, you know, every football team is going to face some adversity. We don't know what it is. We sure have faced adversity in the past, and unfortunately we face it before the season ever gets underway, before fall camp. I feel awful for Deion as we talk to the team. Hey, we're going to rally around him and support him throughout his rehab. But as a team, we've got to figure out how we try to replace him on the field. And obviously last year with 5 interceptions and 3 pick sixes, that's a lot of production for a corner. But, you know, our guys will rally around this, and our coaches will rally, and we just move forward, and that's the way you do it for the team. And it's an individual loss that we got to be able to handle.
Yeah, certainly the cupboard's not bare in that spot. A lot of talent still on defense. We touched just briefly on the offense as well. This is an offense that I think people are going to be really excited to see on the field this season. You've got 2 preseason picks for All-Conference at the running back spot and a Minnesota transfer coming in as well. Any thoughts how you keep all those guys fed and keep them rolling this year?
Well, if you want to run the football, you got to be good at running back. Yeah. And, you know, we felt we were fortunate a year ago by staying healthy. You know, we lost John for early in the game last year, but he came back the next week. We were fortunate that he was able to recover that quickly. So we think we need depth there, but, you know, it also gives our offense some flexibility. We can have 2 of those guys on the field at the same time, maybe even 3, and look for ways to get John into space. And now it's not always in the backfield getting him the ball, and to create some matchup problems for the defenses that we face.
August 31st is going to be the season opener on the road against Utah at the Pac-12. Again, that's going to be here before we know it. Camp starts already this next week for the guys to report.
It sure does. You know, we report August 1st, and August 3rd is our first practice, and we'll be getting our team ready, and the focus has to be on us, but obviously starting to prepare for a very, very good opponent at the FBS level in Utah.
Yeah, 9-3 last season for UND. 11 wins would be the trend. We'll see if they can pull it off again this year. When we come back to Benchwarmers in just a moment, a little more UND talk. Brad Schlossman of the Grand Forks Herald breaking down UND hockey after this.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings in Grand Forks. Benchwarmers here on the docket. Switching to a little UND hockey. We're only about 2 months away from the start of another hockey season here in Grand Forks in North Dakota, coming off a national championship in 2015. A middle of the pack finish last year. Still made their 15th straight NCAA tournament. It'll be a different team though this year, a little less maybe star power, Brad, at the top of the roster.
Yeah, they don't have the human highlight reel guys like a Brock Besser, Tyson Jost, or Drake Kajula, so it'll be a little bit different where you're probably not going to see them on SportsCenter, this year, but they still have potential to be a pretty good team just because their depth is so good, and I think we saw some of that in the last game of last season against BU, where I thought that UND's 3rd and 4th lines really took it to BU, and I think that's going to be the recipe this year, is those guys have to be the difference in games.
Yeah, what do you think, Greg? You're a big hockey guy.
Well, it's interesting because every year when guys leave early and they make that jump to the NHL, you kind of almost start to panic a little bit and wonder, okay, is this a year where maybe a little bit bigger step back is going to come? And then you look at the list of the incoming freshmen and you look at the accolades that they have and the success that they've had either at major juniors or wherever they're coming from, and then you go, oh yeah, I think they're going to be okay. It's maybe some unfamiliarity there a little bit, but you do still have Cam Johnson coming back between the pipes, so that's never a bad thing. And like Brad touched on too, I think maybe not as flashy, but the depth is going to be there, and it's something where maybe we'll see what we maybe used to from years ago, where maybe the team starts out maybe a little bit slower, trying to find themselves a little bit, but then they start firing on all cylinders come February and March.
I would have said before that the biggest concern is the defensive core without Tucker Poolman, because Tucker Poolman did so much for that group. But then again, I look back at that BU game, they didn't have Tucker Poolman. BU had all these first and second round draft picks, like 8 of them, 9 of them, and they didn't have any trouble with them at all. So then, part of me says, look, they proved that they're ready to play without Tucker, and it'll be interesting to see, though. Those guys took big steps from day one to the end of the year last year, and they'll have to do the same this year.
Yeah, we'll see if those guys like Andrew Pesky and Colton Pullman and some of those younger freshmen that really matured, how well they can make it. Is there a little more growth potential still out there, or is this kind of the max where they're going to end up? For
sure, I think there's a lot of growth potential. It's kind of funny, the Poolman boys, you got to laugh a little bit there. They got a UND football player putting some stars on the UND hockey team here, so that's always kind of funny. And now the Schmaltz boys too. Look what the UND football program is doing for the hockey program here.
I just think it comes down to the culture of the program is really going to help them.
Yeah.
These are the years that you see what that strong program culture really can do for you.
For sure.
What do you think are reasonable expectations for this team this season?
I kind of think Denver's the big favorite to win the league.
Certainly.
I think from 2 to about 7, it's going to be really tight. It's going to, maybe 2 to 6. I think Western is going to drop off because they lost too many guys early. CC still building up. And then there's all these teams that are just so tightly packed that I think reasonable is to expect them to finish somewhere between 2 and 6. That's a huge area right there, so I'm not really going out on a limb, but I think those teams are going to be really close in the points, and it's going to come down to who can pull out some games at the end, some close games.
Yeah, it's always a wild conference. That's the one great thing about the NCHC. A lot of parity, a lot of really good teams across the country. I want to get to one quick thing. Carl Gehring, who had been the assistant goaltender coach at UND for a long time, had really helped guys like Cam Johnson, Zane McIntyre really develop into NHL caliber goaltenders, is leaving the program, took a job with the Tampa Bay Lightning organization. What do they go? What does that loss look like for this team, and where do they go to try and fill that?
Well, we'll see who they end up hiring. I think Matt Harinkyu is a candidate. He's a guy who just graduated, really smart guy, knows the guys on the team already. So I think he's a possibility there. But losing Carl's obviously a huge loss. He's extremely popular among the goalies. Not only was he really good with his technical analysis of goaltenders, but I think even more so just being a really good guy for them to chat with after a tough game. They can go chat with Carl, and he can bring their mentality back, and he's played the position and knows what it's like, and it's a tough spot. So definitely a big loss and a big gain for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, something they'll have to figure out between now and the start of the season against September the 30th against Manitoba, the first exhibition game for UND hockey. When we come back now on Benchwarmers, we'll turn to national topics. Bubba Schweigert, a big golf fan, talking Open Championship after this.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings here in Grand Forks on Benchwarmers. Shifting the conversation now to golf, and the Open Championship at Royal Birkdale just wrapped up this past weekend. Jordan Spieth taking home his 3rd major in pretty incredible fashion. He shoots a -12, but the scorecard doesn't really show how wild that last round was.
Yeah, what an awesome performance. And the one thing I really enjoy about golf is the mental toughness guys have to have. And everybody enjoys a skill, and so do I, but I just think what really separates golfers from a lot of athletes is just the focus and concentration that they have to perform under pressure on that last day and those final 9 holes.
Yeah, this is a kid that's 23, almost 24 years old, He is leading nearly wire to wire, and then that last 9 or so, things kind of start to unravel a little bit. He gives up the lead, makes an incredible save on 13. He's shooting from the driving range to somehow get back on and save bogey, and then goes birdie, eagle, birdie, birdie, par to finish out and win by 3 strokes over Matt Kuchar.
Well, what was really impressive during that time when he had to decide what shot to make, and just to gather himself and be composed enough, and even right before he hit it, when he moved his caddy and said, hey, you can't be there, that's another penalty, to think it all through and really slow himself down. I just thought it was an awesome performance, and to beat a steady guy like Matt Kuchar down the stretch, it was just awesome for a young guy to do that, and really a true professional.
Yeah, Spieth now the second youngest guy in history to complete 3/4 of the Grand Slam. Again, only Jack Nicklaus, the only guy to do it at a younger age. Now, you guys are not as big into this whole golf scene, but if this kid starts doing what Tiger Woods did a couple of years ago and starts winning majors and making things really interesting, will you kind of gravitate a little bit towards the sport, or is it going to take something we haven't even seen yet to make you guys want to watch?
It's dangerous to even associate the two names, just because I agree that there's still more out there for Jordan Spieth, certainly, and room for him to grow as only being a 23-year-old. I don't see him taking over the game the way that Tiger did. I think there's other guys out there. There's the Dustin Johnsons of the world. There's other players, I think, that can compete with him. So I don't know. What do you think, Brad?
Well, we'll see. I mean, like you said, I'm not huge into watching golf, but if Tiger Woods was in contention on the Sunday, I was watching, I was tuning in, and we'll see if it eventually is that same way with Jordan Spieth, where if I see him on the leaderboard, I'm making it a point to watch that last round.
Yeah, he does.
And it sounds like I missed quite a last round on Sunday. I did get updates on my phone, but I didn't see him.
Watching from a distance, paying attention. That's do you have a guy that you really cheer for, Bubba, on the tour? Someone that you really get behind that you want to see compete and do well?
I love watching Phil Mickelson, and we'll see where it goes from here. But there were so many years that he was so much fun to watch because he's a risk taker, and I think it took something for him to do that, and always enjoyed watching him compete.
Yeah, well, just switching topics from golf to tennis. Brad, not a golf guy, but an assistant coach at Minnesota Crookston on the tennis program. You're a big tennis fan. Wimbledon was 2 weeks ago now, but Roger Federer wins his 8th Wimbledon title to break the all-time record there. He wins his 19th major championship. I mean, before this season, this was a guy at 35 years old that hadn't won a major since 2012, and now he's won 2 this year. Yeah. How can you, just quantify what this guy has done this year?
Well, I think just in general, we're seeing an era that we'll probably never see again with, a couple of the greatest players of all time in their primes at the same time. And here they are kind of over the hill in tennis terms, and our major champions this year are Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. Nadal went through the French Open without losing a single set. Federer went through Wimbledon without losing a single set. So here these guys should be done considering their ages, and they're as dominant as ever. So it's pretty incredible, and I hope it keeps going because it's so fun to watch.
Yeah, 2 of the greatest ever still playing at a high level here on tour. So when we come back, we're taking the question from the lunchtime crowd here at Buffalo Wild Wings. Our Winging It segment is coming up next.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings. Time now for our Winging It segment, a question from the crowd with our own Carla Metz. Carla?
Thanks, Alex. I'm here with Matthew Nelson. He's from Drayton, North Dakota, and Kyrie Irving's been in the news a lot lately. He's got a question about him for you.
Yeah. Do you feel that the Cleveland Cavaliers have to feel pressure to trade Kyrie Irving just because he demands a trade? And why would they be nice to him and trade him to a team that he wants to go to?
All right, let's see what the panel thinks.
Thanks, Carla. Thank you, Matt, as well. Matthew wants to know, should Cleveland feel pressure to trade Kyrie Irving, a guy that, again, just signed a 5-year contract a couple seasons ago. He's 25 years old. They've been to 3 straight NBA Finals. They won 1. What do you guys think? Is that the organization's right to make sure the player is happy, or does he have to play out the string and finish his contract?
Well, unless you're inside, you don't really know all the details, what really is going on within the team. But, gosh, it seems hard to believe that you were that close to a title this year and wouldn't want to come back and try to put them over the top the next year.
Yeah, you think so. Yeah, what do you guys think?
This is the way the NBA is now, right? I mean, LeBron ironically, he wants to get away from LeBron, and LeBron kind of opened the doors for players to have more power over this kind of stuff. And I think if you're the team, I think you ship him somewhere and get what you can, because this has been put out there now, and unless you're some kind of wizard of a coach, I mean, how do you cope with having a player who doesn't want to be there? And with the star power that he has, you should be able to get some legitimate pieces back for him. I think you gotta ship him somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out what he's thinking. You got the golden ticket there, man. You know, you're going to the finals every year, so.
25 years old, wants to be the centerpiece of a team. He said Miami, he said San Antonio, he said New York, or possibly Minnesota is his preferred destination. Woo! So stay tuned to that in the weeks to come. When we come back, we'll wrap things up here on Benchwarmers with our poll question. Stay tuned.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Our poll question this week on Benchwarmers: which Dakota FCS program will win the most games in 2017? We had over 300 votes online. 39% going with North Dakota State, 26% for South Dakota State, 21% for UND. A pretty close race between, again, 3 of those teams we expect to be ranked in the top 10 in the nation come the preseason polls. What do you guys think how this is going to shake out?
Well, there's going to be good football this fall in the Dakotas. There's no question about that. USD's an up-and-coming team. SDSU has probably one of the top offenses in FCS. North Dakota State's still doing their thing, and UND's the reigning Big Sky champ. So that's the one thing that's for sure. Good football coming to the region.
Well, I get my picks from Athlon, which I do research on, and 3 of those teams were ranked in the top 5. So that's pretty impressive that 3 Dakota teams are ranked in the top 5.
The Dakota is definitely the place to be for college football, the FCS level. Hey, for these guys, thanks again for watching. We'll see you next week in Sioux Falls.